Hello cops, military people, civilian sheepdogs. Nutnfancy coming at you. Tabletop review on something a little bit different. Lots of good AK-47 variants out there. Great AR-15 brands. We've shown you a few. We're going to show you a lot more in the Nutnfancy project. But maybe you want something completely different. And maybe this is just what you need. Robinson's Arms XCR, baby. In the project, in the house, the Nutnfancy house that is, for review, tabletop style. Both of these guns, I have a heavy barrel one right there in the background, a thin barreled one. Been in the project for many months now, on loan by a very good friend for testing purposes. And I've done a fair amount of testing on them, good enough to the point where I think I can give a credible tabletop review. Lots of metal to wrangle here, and with all the tripod and everything else that's in the way, sorry if I'm going to do a little bit of, banging into stuff. That's just the way it's going to go. Going to go down the tabletop review like I always do, talking point style. Forgetting stuff, mixing stuff up like I always do. Couple caveats too, these aren't my guns, so didn't modify them. A couple things, put a VG on there just to make it a little bit more ergonomic during the shooting process. Various sights, but other than that, I didn't do a lot of other stuff to it, and I have to treat them very carefully because, like most of the stuff you see rolled in front of the camera, they're on loan from good people who are totally supportive of what I'm doing here in the Nutnfancy project, and it's just prohibitively expensive for me to go out and buy it all myself. Let's get going, dudes. POU, and I'm going to try and make this a single parter. It might run long, but there's a lot to talk about, and to be fair to the system, and I want to be fair to the XCR. I got to go in detail and try to solve and maybe forestall any questions from the TMPers and other folks from the internet who may Google this review who might have questions if I'm not that way. POU, tactical carbine. Defensive in nature, offensive in nature. Just depends on who you are. Law enforcement officer, it could be your patrol carbine if your departmental regulations allow you to have such. A lot of rural departments do exactly that. Civilian sheepdogs, this could be a primary home defensive gun. Your Minuteman gun, if you will. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. 3-gun competitors. It could be a good choice to show up at your matches. The cool thing about the XCR, kind of like I said in my introduction, is it is not an AK, it's not an AR. We'll talk about that here in a second, but it's something completely different. That in and of itself is cool. It sets you apart when you show up for this. They're going to say, dude, what's he running? Most guys will know. Anybody who's been around the tactical community for a while will know who Robinson Arms is. They'll be familiar with the XCR. But surprisingly, there's a lot of dudes that are not. So POU is what we discussed in some other videos. Reference my AK versus AR-15 series of vids. Talked a lot about philosophy of both styles of guns, advantages and disadvantages to each type, treating the subject as best and as fairly as I possibly could. A lot of those things will play in POU, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. It's already out there in other videos. Let's go on to innovation and design. Great job, Robinson, for coming out with something completely different. Okay? And it is an amalgamation between an AR-15 and a Kalashnikov-style long-stroke gas piston design. And it has the advantages, as far as I can ascertain in my own shooting and my own research, and that of my buddies, has the advantages of an AK-47. In other words, a more robust gas system. And this is a long stroke gas system and not a short stroke like we saw perhaps on the Ruger SR556. Also on the table here, might make reference to that. Remember the SR? You'll see an annotation review on this outstanding gas piston design by one of my favorite American gun manufacturers. I have lots. Ruger. Great gun. A little bit heavy, like I said. Other than that, pretty much awesome. This is a different design, by the way, than the SR556. Very Kalashnikov in nature. No, I'm not a gun expert. I'm not a gun designer either. But real quick, this is kind of how it works as I understand it. Okay, real quick. Gas block. It has a multi-positionable dial which will change the size of the orifice for the gas tap off. Round comes down the barrel, gas travels through the gas block. Depending on what setting you have this in, it will adjust the amount of gas, which will impinge on the operating rod / gas piston, which reciprocates back and forth in this metal part inside the receiver or the forward handguard called the gas tube. Okay, so the operating rod is pushed by that gas impingement, and it impacts inside here the bolt carrier. Just like an AR-15, it has a bolt carrier. Okay, unlocking the bolt and initiating extraction. I won't talk in length about that. I may show you differences inside if I have time. And then the rest is pretty much standard. There's a recoil spring assembly / receiver lock. That's that portion right here that will compress and again push the bolt carrier group forward, stripping off another cartridge. Very AK-47 like. Gun experts, if I screw that up, sorry. Just get the details as best I can. That is an advantage over the AR-15 system, a lot of folks say, because it's stronger and more robust. Also, unlike a direct gas impingement AR-15, which taps off that gas, sends it down via a tube into the receiver, just like I said in the SR556 review, we keep all that hot gas and, in my opinion, the hot gas that will dry out your lubricants out of this portion of the gun. We keep it up front. Yes, the front will get hot. It's always that way in a piston gun, I've seen, but the advantage is all the dirt and muck and stuff stays up front. The gun, is rugged, reliable. You know what, I might as well just break into it now and show you what I'm talking about. Let me do that, because this drives to the heart of the differences. And this is the field strip, by the way. Hopefully I won't screw it up, but let's just do it. We safety check that magazine comes out. Not loaded. There's a receiver lock. Push it up. Very AK-like. Kind of obnoxious that it doesn't pivot more than that. It's a captured pivot. That's about as far as your XCR is going to open. Then we pull out recoil spring assembly. Be careful. All this stuff falls out and basically spills all over the place if you're not careful. Okay, and out comes the operating rod / gas piston, just like I showed you. This is another reason guys love the XCR. This right here. It's a 3-lug proprietary bolt that Robinson engineers designed. And got a greasy stuff. Hang on a second. Okay, and tough, rugged. They love this. This is a fixed extractor. Not really pinned in there. It's just kind of wedged in there as best as I can ascertain. Not super awesome, but by way of comparison, here comes a CMMG AR-15 bolt carrier group, and we'll do some comparison. Okay, you see the multiple lugs on an AR-15. You see the 3 lugs on the XCR. A lot of guys like that. Very Kalashnikov-like. You can see the differences in an extractor. Again, both of these guns I'm showing you are .223 calibers. Notice the extractor, spring-loaded variety on the AR-15. Some guys will say, and there's the ejector right there, spring-loaded. Some guys will say, well, that makes it more subject to failure. I say if you're doing a lot of full auto firing, the AR-15, yeah, you better take care of it. Conform to rigid maintenance schedules. Keep it lubricated, which may be tough with that DI gun. Here's the tap off for the direct gas impingement. It comes down here. All that heat comes here, dries off your lubricants. It's something you're going to have to stay on top of. Easier to do with the XCR. Stronger ejector with the XCR. Those are advantages. Very simple field strip. Putting it back together, also very simple too. Okay, so differences. That is a cool design, adhering to the ruggedness principle of the AK-47. Okay, and let me see if I can do this right. I'm not an XCR expert. There's the bolt carrier. You can see the bolt going inside. That needs some more CLP in it. During break-in, by the way, guys are saying keep that well lubricated. I would basically keep it well lubricated all the time. And for your reference, it's not well lubricated right now. Nor do I want it to be for the review. It's just messy enough as it is. Here comes your op rod. You can see it mates right here into the bolt carrier like that. There's your piston tap off. That's a part that's in that gas block that we just talked about. Okay, you can see it's been firing a little bit of wolf. That's usually wolf greenness there. Not that it's corrosive, it's just dirty. So here comes the receiver. Slide the whole assembly into the receiver like so. There's your receiver lock like that, and then you just close it up. Bam! Put back together. There's field strip and disassembly. By the way, it's superior to that of the Ruger SR556 because it has that trapped upper receiver gas piston in the top of the handguard that Ruger does not allow you to get out due to their design. Do you ever have to get it out? Like I said in the review, probably not. Okay, let's crank it along though. I'll be right back. get all the grease off. Just one sec. More stuff on innovation design. Robinson Arms XCR has a monolithic rail. In other words, it is actually part of the upper receiver. It goes and actually forms the handguard as well. There's no disconnect problems like some of the AR-15 variants have. Solid piece of metal, Picatinny rail. That's an advantage. And Robinson Arms had to do a lot of original design work on this gun. And guys that own the XCR are nodding their heads up and down like, dang right they did. It's completely original design. Yeah, no joke. For instance, here's the operating rod on the left side of the gun. Okay, not on the right side like an AK-47 variant has. Okay, the safety, different. Rotates 60 degrees, not 90 degrees like an AR-15. Bolt release, ambidextrous, right there in the front of the trigger guard. I dig it. I like the placement. You can use it either with the thumb, the index finger, all sorts of techniques are possible with that. And then you have your magazine release, which is very AR-15 like. Okay, so a lot of innovative and original stuff. Oh yeah, modular design. You can swap the barrels out too in the XCR. And several are available. Make sure I get the sizes right. You got 11 inch, 12 inch, 14.5 inch, 16 inch barrels, which I'm showing you today. 18.6 inch barrels are available. Thin profile, heavy profile. And different calibers are available as well. 223, 6.8 SPC, 6.5 Grindle, 7.62 by 39, all available in the XCR platform. Oh, and I forgot to mention, there's your quick change barrel nut right there. I want to try to remember to tell you something about that. But, you know, the modularity of the XCR design, in some people's minds, is an advantage. You know, you change the barrel out with a different gas block, a different bolt with a proper caliber, and, you know, different mag. And I think you have to change your brass deflector as well. That's what that thing right there is. And then you're ready to go. I'll say it right now since we're already on subject. I think that modularity and that caliber change-out thing is kind of hokey. I do. I mentioned that in the SIG P250 review because that pistol touts the same thing. And the reason why is not that I don't like the capability. I think the capability is awesome. It rocks. But it's expensive. By the time you buy all those components, barrel, you know, whole new set of magazines, you know, your bolt carrier group. Oh, and by the way, you'll need a hammer spring if you interchange this to a 7.62 by 39 caliber, another component, and the brass deflector, all that stuff. You might as well buy another gun. You know, the only thing you're really going to save is an optic setup. By the way, in the background, that heavy barrel XCR, this is one we did a lot of shooting with. That's wearing a EOTech XPS 2-2 sight. Kind of a testing site in the Nutnfancy project. You'll see a separate review on that sometime. But yeah, it's probably not super high value. So keep that in mind if you're really thinking that that's a huge advantage with XCR. I think it's oversold. You know, you get an AR-15, kind of like my Rock River, high value, entry tactical AR-15. You know, just slam another upper on there with an AR-15, maybe different caliber. You could still use a lower receiver. I mean, what's the difference? You know, what's the advantage of the XCR or any other of those types that can swap calibers over an AR-15 if you replace the upper, different barrel along with that? I think you're going to be about in the same price category. Okay, so lots of things, innovation design, the XCR's done. They have made some improvements along the way. If I get them right, I'll talk to that in quality. Pressing on. Reliability and durability of the Robinson Arms XCR. Initially, I've heard of some reports, and my buddies have forwarded me scrubbed reports, in other words, verifiable reports, that the XCR has had some teething problems when it was first introduced, and also perhaps some quality control problems, kind of jumping ahead in the talking points, on different items. Okay, I've heard stories of, and I'm just keeping it real, and let me just caveat it by saying that be careful when you hear bad reports on any manufacturer. Make sure you can confirm them. I'm going to pass them on to you because I think it's part of the history of the XCR, and I think it has to be part of my review because of my integrity. But stories of gas blocks being out of spec, causing problems. You know, barrels with unpolished, out of spec chambers. You know, misdrilled firing pin holes out of spec in the bolts. I think all of that has passed. I think those were teething problems of the XCR. We've seen such problems with a lot of different manufacturers. It certainly isn't Robinson Arms. We've seen it from SIG. We've seen it from Ruger. You know, and I definitely don't you know, condemn a design because of that. As long as they're, you know, the manufacturer is responsive and proactive in fixing the problems, and then we press on and forget about it. Excuse me. Robinson Arms is just that. They are a little company, by the way. Very small, and it's very impressive that they have accomplished what they've accomplished. Very impressive. They're very active in the forums, too. Very proactive in engaging with their customers and bending over backwards to solve their problems, sending them parts free of charge and squaring them away. That's all good, and big thumbs up to Robinson Arms for awesome customer service. Some guys will say, well, you shouldn't need that. I mean, I've discussed this before. We shouldn't need that customer service, right? We should just, you know, have a squared away gun to begin with. True, I'm in agreement, but, you know, with such a small company, they sometimes, you know, entities are just caught off guard by the popularity of their stuff. Kel-Tec is another example. And to be honest, I can kind of relate to that. I can't crank out enough videos to satisfy the demand. So I can kind of relate to how it is trying to just keep up. So back to the discussion, reliability. Once it is broken in and you square away problems on the XCR, I think you can anticipate having a pretty darn reliable gun. Guys in 3-gun matches that have run XCRs have given glowing reports where other AR-15 variants have gone down, including maybe an HK416. Their XCR ran 100%, and we're talking through thousands of rounds of hard charging 3-gun shooting, our tactical carbine course shooting. By the way, I think that's one of the best tests of any tactical carbine is tactical carbine classes, 3-gun matches. Much more so, are you listening, than the military data points. What? That's right. Include my data points in there too, but you know, I'm not out there like the 3-gun or the, you know, tactical carbine classes putting, you know, 1,000 rounds, 2,000 rounds through a single gun in a matter of days, you know, maybe hours. It could be measured in hours. Those are great data points. If you can find dudes that have done this that are verifiable, there's lots of blowhards out there, I know, but a verifiable dude that's gone through there, great data points. And good data points about the XCR have emerged, that it's a tough running gun. What we found in our testing, and probably, and to be honest, I didn't put like tons of rounds through these guns. I don't know. Probably, I'm guessing, I'll ballpark around 700 rounds between the two. That's a ballpark estimate. I don't keep track. I got too many guns I'm testing. We had issues with Wolf. Wolf did not function in our XCRs. And I think they probably would do better after they broke in because both of these guns are relatively new. They have had rounds through them before I got them, but relatively new. And I think once you broke them in, perhaps. And XCR guys say, well, change your gas system. It would have done fine. No, dudes, we did it all. We tried, you know, Tactical Doodle and myself, we tried every gas system setting there was. You know, most should run good on gas setting number 2. See the adjustability right there? You can do that with a cartridge tip. And some guys say, well, we'll put it on number 4. It'll extract Wolf. Well, what it did is it ripped the case head out. Okay? It wouldn't come out of the chamber and just rip the case head. SR556 had the same problem. So, yeah, but I've heard reports that other guys' XCRs run with Wolf, no problem. So the 4 setting didn't work. 3 setting didn't work. Wolf just did not work for Nutnfancy on the XCRs for my limited testing. And that's all it is just a little data point. Taken into consideration. You know, will it work? And why is that important? Guys say, well, don't shoot Wolf. Well, I say, bull crap. I mean, I can't afford brass-cased ammo. Can you? It's hard enough shooting centerfire. That's why we're, you know, transitioning to tactical 22 so much. CMMG conversions. You know, cheap it out as much as you can as long as your gas gun or your gun of choice runs it reliably. And that is a huge selling point. And actually, to be honest, for me, a big negativity against the XCR. You know, I don't have time or in the testing to make sure that it would run, you know, let's run 1,000 rounds and see if it starts chugging away. I ain't spending the money doing that. You know, DI gun, like mine, runs Wolf 100%. You saw an Armed Serenity 2009, dudes. This thing was just rocking. You know, rocking. Just 100% reliability with the cheapest, most crappiest ammo out there. It even does better with good ammo. Another advantage of a DI gun. No, I don't think the DI system's broke. Reference my DI versus piston video, you know. Reliability, though, I think once you get it squared away, good. Let me jump ahead to this. And I have seen this not just with the XCR, but also the M96 Expeditionary Rifle, also from Robinson Arms. I've seen things fly off of these guns, shooting them with buddies. Namely, here's a name, sadly missing. Had an Expeditionary Rifle. I had another friend that had one. I won't mention him. Don't know if he wants some publicity. Parts were flying off his gun while we're shooting. One reason is you got to be very careful that all this stuff is Loctited. See how they use Allen head, fasteners to fasten everything on? Here's, the bolt release that has an Allen head on it. Here's another one back here. Okay, here's one that holds on the safety. You better Loctite those, and you better make sure they don't come off. Oh, and getting back to the barrel change bolt, I've heard of this coming loose during shooting. It's a non-retained design. A lot of dudes will say, not a lot, a few guys will complain and say, that should be a retained design. It's a critical component. If that comes loose during heavy fighting, heavy firing, your whole barrel starts loosening up. That's pretty bad. If you can square away all those issues, assuming that you don't have any quality control issues with your XCR, I think you'll be happy. I think you'll find it'll chug, 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 and it will have all the advantages attendant to the AK-40 design, and it will prove to be extremely durable once those initial teething problems are solved. I think if you buy a new XCR, I think you'll be much less likely to encounter those. On to accuracy, talking point. I really want to make this a single parter. I'm going to call it, here it comes right out the gate, about a 2 MOA, 3.0 MOA rifle. What? It's more accurate than that. My XCR shoots 2-inch groups at 600 yards. Talk is cheap, bros. Talk is cheap. Lots of talk on the internet, forums. Oh man, I shoot this all day long. Show me. Post your video, uncut. You guys know you can trust me. I just give it to you straight. Here we go. XCR, this is the heavy barrel. My son, tactical dude. Let me show you the crap ones first, because we have some crappy groups. I'm going to show you those. Here's mine. This is with a Burris Speed Dot, as you can see, or as you've seen on the heavy barrel XCR. That's a crappy group. That's at 50 yards too. I was not having a good day. 3.3 inches is my biggest spread on that. No, not pleased with that at all. Embarrassing. I said, Doodle, you do it. There's his group. Much better. Remember, this is an unmagnified sight. So if guys are going to roll and go, well, that group sucks for 50 yards. Unmagnified, you think you can do better? Do better. I highly doubt it. 2-inch group right there. XCR, Burris Speed Dot, there's 2.25 inch group. That's pretty good. So I was pleased with that. And then he did a really nice group. These are shooting PMC, 55 grain, full metal jacket, Burris Speed Dot, heavy barrel XCR, 2.2 inch group. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rounds, something like that. Decent. I wasn't satisfied with that. So I took the thin barreled XCR out to the range. Spent a lot of time shooting it at the range, sighting it in. And by the way, I wasn't using a super awesome scope. And guys, it was just a 2x7 power scope on a Leapers AR-15 mount that I'm evaluating in the Nutnfancy project. Try to roll in a lot of reviews at one time. Okay, and then I got a group. Not too happy with that one. This is an XCR thin barrel group. 5 inches. PMC ammo. About 29 degrees Fahrenheit. Slight wind blowing. 65% humidity. No, not impressive. And guys say, well, you just suck. Well, I feel pretty confident about my shooting capability, especially from the bench, pulling the trigger slowly. And I was like, dudes, I got to take some more time with this and really have good follow through, good breathing. And that's what I came up with, and that's what the gun's capable of. PMC, 55 grain, 100 yards with a 7 power optic. I probably could have done a little bit better. 1.4 inches. That's a very good group. Very happy with that one. Here's another one, not so great. Thin barreled XCR, 2.9 inches across. Actually, it would have been about a 2.2 inch group. Okay. Other guys are reporting 1.5 MOA out of their guns. Maybe. I think that's optimistic. I'm saying 2 to 3 MOA is realistic out of your XCR. Other guns beat it. Generally, a direct gas impingement squared away AR-15 will shoot more accurately, in my opinion, with my trigger ability than the XCR. Your mileage may vary, of course. So decent accuracy. Could you do better? Yeah, you probably could. And again, I shoot rack ammo. I'm not shooting match ammo, reloads, that I've really spent a lot of time with. I'm shooting just basic ammo. I think that is a realistic test. I hate it when I read a gun magazine, they're shooting all this eclectic and super expensive ammo. You know, like the tap rounds from Hornady. Who's going to buy that? That's so expensive. So accuracy is decent. Maybe not up to DI standards. Your mileage may vary. Firepower is like all AR-15s, dudes. It takes 30 round magazines. Okay, what's this? This is an old Thermold. That's a great magazine. A lot of guys say Thermelt. Yeah, that's form crap. I've never had problems with my AR-15 M4 Thermolds. They're awesome. In the background, PMag. Those worked pretty good too. GI magazines work. CMag, 100 rounders work. If you do a caliber conversion, then your life gets a little more complicated. Then you're probably going to be relegated to C Products magazines for your caliber of choice. 7.62 by 39, 6.8 SPC, and on and on. Firepower, though, on par with any M4 AR-15 design, which means it's pretty much outstanding. And it doesn't use a proprietary mag. While it is a proprietary design, they were smart enough to use AR-15 M16 mags. Materials and quality, we kind of talked about the quality blips in it. The materials are excellent. 7075 series aluminum, same as we see from all the forged aluminum receivers. It's good. Kind of a downside. This is a heavy gun, and that's a big hit I give the XCR. Still heavy. Wait, dude, it's 7 pounds, 12 ounces. Well, yeah, for a light, thin-barreled XCR. You know, by way of reference, the AR-15 that I showed you, much lighter, you know, around 7.2, something like that, and that's with a full profile R2 barrel. See how thick that barrel is under the handguard? You know, that Kalashnikov gas system does two things that you need to consider. It adds weight. Okay, it's 17 ounces of metal, those parts that I showed you in there. 17 ounces of metal. It makes it heavier. You want AK, you know, reliability and toughness. Okay, firepower versus mobility, you just added some weight. Additionally, something to consider is that it actually adds reciprocating mass to the firing sequence. What? I thought the XCR was a soft shooting gun. Well, I'm here to tell you, after having fired hundreds of rounds through the XCRs, we did not find that to be the case. We found it to be more recoil pulse intensive than an AR-15, and also even more so than the Ruger SR556, also a piston gun. Okay, this recoiled less than the XCR. I found rapid follow-up shots with the XCR took a special technique because there's more impulse with that 17 ounces of metal coming back. Well, hold on, the AR-15 has a bulk carrier group. It's not light. True. 12 ounces. So you added 5 ounces on the reciprocating metal mass inside there. Okay, just keeping it real. The gun is heavy. 7 pounds, 12 ounces. This one's 7.14, but it's got that, you know, Ergo VG riding on the front. That's 2 ounces. But that's no optics, too. So you're basically around 8 pounds with no optics. Nutnfancy in the weight issue again. The heavy barrel one, the story gets even more bleak. 8 pounds, 10 ounces with a vertical grip. Let's subtract 2. We'll say 8 pounds, 8 ounces naked. Not counting the EOTech on there. You add optics, you add lights, you add a sling. You're looking at a 10.5 pound gun rapidly. That is the true story on the XCR. It is a big disadvantage to the system. You like the monolithic rail? Rock on. It adds weight. That is a lot of metal riding from the back portion all the way to the front portion. Okay, just keeping it real. The quality as it is executed, as long as everything's squared away, is actually pretty good on the XCR. The materials are good. You know, the barrel steel, chrome lined barrels. All that's good. Weight and size, though, and we've kind of already jumped ahead on that talking point. The weight is an issue. It always is an issue. Quickly, thin barrel versus heavy. Which one I prefer? I generally prefer a heavy barrel tactical carbine. Gives me more rapid fire capability. Call me crazy, I like it. Well, guys say, well, I can do mag dump after mag dump, no problems in my thin barrel. I disagree. I like a thick barrel. I like the stability of it. I like the non-wandering point of aim as the barrel heats up. And apparently Army agrees because they are reevaluating the M4 profile barrel and going to a thicker alternative. Awesome. You know, they're going to say, you know what? We don't need that step down portion under the handguard anymore. We can just notch out for the M203 attachment. Seems like they've seen the light of day too. And especially if I'm at an 8 pound gun with a thin barrel. Not interested. I'm just keeping it real. Not interested. Ergonomics on the XCR. I told you I was going to cruise on this. I went out a single part. Best I can. Ergonomics are excellent. AR-15 grips are, you know, adaptable here. Takes those AR-15, M16 grips. I like the position of the magazine. The the bolt release, outstanding. Interestingly though, it rattles. Getting maybe back to the quality issue. And also the gas tube rattles here. The heavy barrel one, you can really hear the gas tube and the Ford handguard rattling. Hear that? Just kind of obnoxious. Don't like it so much. Oh, and speaking of quality, the folding stock proprietary version, this is kind of ergonomically. It has a very, ergonomic speaking, this has a very short length of pull, which I do not prefer. 13 inches. Do not dig it. Does not lock up very solidly either. Okay, there's some wiggle in it. Can't really do it with, you know, my situation here. Take it from me though, it could lock up a lot more solidly. You can, and getting to the accessories, retrofit this with an AR-15 style of stock. This one's wearing a Veltor. That's about a $40 adaptable available from Robinson Arms. That's cool. Ergonomics though. Like the bolt release, like the mag release. The charging handle, a lot of guys will like. I can stay in firing position, holding on to the pistol grip, execute a magazine exchange, and still have my hand on the trigger or nearby on the safety, ready to engage as I do my magazine exchange. Pretty cool. And I do like that left side charging handle. I will say though, I can guarantee if you're humping around with that a lot, that banging into you, you're going to find that rather obnoxious. It's cool, maybe temporarily, but in reality, that left side charging handle sticking out, probably an ergonomic nightmare, you know, hiking along. I prefer the AR-15 style one. Sights. I have an issue with XCR and how high the receiver is. It's about a quarter inch, half inch higher than an AR-15 receiver. The BYS that comes with it are these Midwest, actually these are some YHM, Yankee Hill, but the ones in the background, Midwest Industries. In order to use them, this is kind of an ergonomic deal. You're going to have to raise your cheek off the stock to do it. Not so cool. And to me, cheek welds everything for consistency and everything, and on and on. I don't want to have to raise my cheek, and you will have to do it on the XCR to use BUIS. Some guys say, well, use 416 BUIS, and they're lower profile, they'll mate better. That's probably a great idea. That's an issue though. Didn't notice any of those problems with an optic though. The EOTech is fine. The scope was fine. There's those Midwest Industry sights right there. Okay, and by the way, integrated single point sling attachment, that's cool. And this is, again, your adapter here. And by the way, even though it adapts to AR-15 style stocks, you can still fold it, even though it doesn't lock, at least on this model. So at least it's cool. Like that way, in other words, compactable. Good ergos on it. Have problems with that siding plane. Your mileage may vary. And the stock, don't like that. The Veltor stock, by the way, I'm not super fond of. Great capability for railing up if you need to. But again, that weight is going to add up quickly, guys. It just will. Sorry, that's a reality check for you. You're going to have a 10.5 pound carbine before you know it. By way of reference, at Rock River Arms, entry tactical, with light, with scope, with magazine. What am I at, like 8.5 pounds? If I'm off, I'll annotate it. Total weight with everything on it that you see. Huge. Weight is everything, man. It's mobility. Probably forgot some stuff with ergonomics. I got a cruise though. Accessories. Trigger not swappable for an AR-15 variety. And there were some trigger issues, you know, big issues from what I understand. You know, I heard that initially burrs were slipping out without proper attention on many of the guns, you know. The disconnector wasn't working right, and the gun would shoot for a while, then stop firing because the trigger wasn't resetting. If I screwed that up, sorry. If I screwed that up on all the details, sorry. Basically, the trigger had some issues. I think they fixed all that, and now Robinson Arms has a new trigger. Get the name right on this. An ETS, Enhanced Trigger System. The trigger on both of these guns is atrocious. Horrible. I'm amazed we got the accuracy we did out of them. Very hard to pull, two-stage, very difficult. I'm amazed I got the run and gun accuracy I did out of that heavy barrel one in the background. The ETS is a huge upgrade. I'm glad they did it, and I'm hearing great things about it. I hear it's a very light take-up on the first stage and the very crisp, glass-like pull on the second. So they addressed it. They took care of it. Again, great customer service coming from Robinson Arms. Good job. Nothing but good to say about that. Also, accessories though. BUIS for AR-15, like we mentioned, probably not a great choice unless you don't mind lifting your cheek off your stock weld. You know, the stocks, the pistol grips will work. A lot of the all the magazines will work for the AR-15. All of that's good. So honestly, there's a lot of commonality with it in the accessory department. Value, in the eyes of the beholder, more expensive than AR-15, and I'll put an annotation what the going rate for an XCR is if I can find it, but kind of pricey, more pricey than the AR-15. Let's keep it real though. Some guys in Robson will say this too, like, hey, but keep in mind it includes a rail, it includes BUIS, some versions. That's good, right? Yeah, it is. Kind of what I said about the SR556, right? That also has a lot of value for all the stuff they include in it. Troy Industries, BUIS. Actually, they include those 3P Mag magazines, the carry case. Lot of value in the Ruger SR556. Somewhat the same case can be made for the XCR. So, but you could beat it if you want to go with a direct gas impingement AR-15 price-wise. Truth be told, you could. But, you know, it's AR-15. Some guys are biased against it. They don't like DI guns. They don't even like the AR-15 design at all together. XCR, still a cool design. Track record, I think it's mixed results. Track record on the Robson Arms XCR from what I can gather. And my friends who research for me, by the way, big thanks. TMP Research, Joker Man 77, big shout out. They scrub the forums, you know, and find out what's going on. You know, filter out all the crap and the BS and then cycle them forward to me what they consider to be good data points for the gun. Thank you guys, I appreciate it. But what I can gather is the XCR, once it's squared away, if you can get rid of those little fastener issues, assuming you didn't have any quality control issues on the internals, like we said, you know, the trigger, the bolt carrier group, maybe an out of spec gas block, any of that crap, you're going to like your gun. It's going to run. And guys, just because I gave you a bad data point on Wolf, don't condemn the design. There's guys out there that are shooting Wolf, and they love it. They report good results. I didn't see that, and I just have to be real with you. Didn't see it. But it's a cool gun, and it's different. And then we get into kind of second type of cool, don't we? It's 100% US made. Some guys will totally love that. They're supporting a very innovative and cutting-edge company, Robson Arms, who, despite all odds, are still in business, charging ahead with a proprietary and, I will say, excellent design. The XCR is an excellent design. You know, my hits are this, okay, and I've already said them. It's too heavy for me. I would like to see them shave off 8 ounces from the design, however they have to do that. Didn't run Wolf for me, okay, and they need to figure out those fastener issues that kind of fly off the gun. Okay, and just square away, you know, tighten up quality control as best they can, but honestly, they're a small company, and they're probably doing the best they possibly can, and I think I want them to succeed. I want them to keep doing what they're doing, coming out with designs that compete against the AK-47, AR-15, you know, and for the amount of money you spend, you know, guys will probably dig the XCR. So in summary, XCR, oh, I forgot to say this, accessories, on the downside, nice. Can't use CMMG conversions, right? Can't convert it to a 22 for cheaper practice like you can an AR-15, which still is chugging away with very good reliability in the Nutnfancy project, I might add. So keep that in mind. And just like all piston guns, I failed to mention this too in summary, it is actually a better option for suppressor use for me. I don't think a DI gun, DI AR-15, M4, M16 is a great choice to suppress. I'd rather do it on a piston gun. LWRC M6A2, which by the way is outstanding, sadly Missing's gun just absolutely rocks. Great option, and this gun to suppress. It doesn't blow fouling into the receiver and back into the user's face. That is a consideration and a big advantage in my mind, and probably worth the extra weight. A couple other things I forgot to mention, downsides. I talked about the Wolf, I talked about the extra weight. I, for one, and just as just me, a Nutnfancy data point, that's all you need to take it as, I am not fond of the recoil impulse. I think it's more, you know, offsetting when you're doing a fast engagement. Other users may disagree, but this is from my own shooting after hundreds of rounds. It recoils. Manageable? Manageable? Absolutely. Totally manageable. As I showed you in the video, you know, scored well with it. I mean, really kept the groups amazingly tight. I was surprised. But given a choice, yeah, I'd rather have the more on target of firing sequence, recoil impulse of a DI gun, maybe even that SR556 I showed you. Okay, that's just me. Upsides though, great ergonomics on the whole gun. Left side charging handle, as long as you don't hike around with it forever, you'll love it. You know, really cool bolt release here. Down the bottom of the trigger guard, and by the way, I understand they're doing winter trigger guards now on the XCRs. 60 degree versus 90 degree throw on the safety lever. You can rest your hand on it. You know, lots of rail space, integrated single point sling, easy takedown, a Kalashnikov, super rugged gas piston, long stroke gas piston design. You know, 3-lug design, huge extractor, fixed extractor, folding design. Guys will love that. Caliber interchangeability. I think it's oversold. Like I said, a lot of guys will dig it. That is a Robinson Arms XCR by Nutnfancy. Would you buy it, Nutnfancy? Oh, that's a tough question. That's a tough question because there's so many great options out there. So many good guns. You guys know that. This is one of them. If I start going into the stratosphere for tactical carbines, and to me the stratosphere is around 2,000. I'm not saying that's how much this is, but once I approach that, then I'm going to look at some other options. Namely, just like I said, LWRC M6A2. That's a wicked cool gun. About 7 pounds, 2-3 ounces, something like that. Awesome fit and finish, olive drab, proprietary barrel coating. That is something you'd have to take in consideration before maybe you pull the trigger on an XCR. By the way, my son, Tactical Doodle, weighed out the XCR versus the Ruger 556. And he opted with a Ruger 556 in the end. That was his choice after he weighed everything out and just said, that's the gun for me. And he's been very pleased with it. About the same price, more or less. About the same price. XCR 556. Both are good guns. And that's how I see it. Hope it helped you. I'm out of time. This is Nutnfancy Tactical Carbine Review, Robinson Arms, XCR. Peace out. See ya. Beautiful sunset, Western U.S., Nutnfancy and crew. Tactical Doodle, Robinson Arms, XCR heavy barrel, getting ready to rock and roll with a run-and-gun, both close and far targets, 5-round strings on each bad guy. Shooter ready?
Ready.
Go! Oh, you want to keep going?
Did you want me to?
Go ahead.
I was just going to throw a mag in there.
Yeah, go ahead. Do it. Thought your transition pistol. Welcome to the world of wolf and piston guns. Does not work. Maybe after extreme break-in it might. Milwaukee shooting impressions. Robinson XCR versus SR556, which you have been shooting this afternoon.
I know.
What do you think, Doodle?
Well, when I was thinking about getting both of them, I was like, I kind of like the battery arms better. It's a little different. Seems
amalgamation
a little more
between an AK-47 and a piston AR.
Well, I like that everything's, charging handle left side. You have slide release right here. It's just a little more ergonomic, but if it shoots like that, I don't care how it works.
It's a lot more recoil impulse, isn't it?
A lot more.
And we even detuned the gas system on that last run.
It's about as much as we can get away with this ammo.
And still have reliability.
Yeah.
As less as we can get away with. Let's go see how I did. 25-yard target. How hot is it? Let me see.
It's not as hot.
Oh, we didn't shoot it that much either.
Yeah, but
the SR does heat up on the gas block.
Yeah.
Not too bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's about what you shot on that. That's a pretty good group off a run and gun. Remember, these are heart rate up time-constrained groups that we're shooting here. Not bench rest. Decent. Shooter ready. Mark, set, go. Go see how I did. This thing has a lot more recoil than SR. It's really like,
Yeah.
really jolty. Not too bad. Zeroed for 50 yards, so it's gonna be shooting a little bit low, I guess. Pretty good run and gun group, actually. I love the thicker barrel on this XCR. You sure can't tell an increased forward end weight though, no problem. I'd like to run and gun sometime that thin barreled one. See how that does? But this swings a lot slower than a DI gun. Not bad though. Not bad. Recoil impulse was definitely more than an SR556, I thought. Oh, there you go. 65 yards, Robson XCR. Nutnfancy's group after run and gun. Dude, that is a weird group. Look at that.
Isn't that?
It's totally symmetrical. 2, 2, and 1.
Wow.
I couldn't duplicate that if I wanted to. That's a nice tight kill group though. I'll take it. So this gun's shooting well, actually. Very well.